Welcome back to 30 Days of Physics with Miss B, and we're moving right along into heat, temperature, and thermometers. In the 18th century, heat was once believed to be an invisible fluid called caloric. Caloric was thought to combine with matter and raise its temperature. The theory became obsolete because the weight of a cold body after it was heated did not change. In other words, if a cold body was heated, then the weight of the body should have increased due to an increase in caloric, since it was gaining caloric, the invisible fluid. Count Rumford's experiment, another reason why caloric became obsolete. In 1797, while overseeing the production of artillery for the Army of Bavaria, an army general by the name of Count Rumford, responsible for boring cannons, noticed that while drilling the borehole into the cannon blank, a great amount of heat was given off. This set off sparks in his mind to investigate the loss of heat. He then set up an experiment to rub metal upon metal while it was submerged in 18 kilograms of water. The heat produced from the experiment was able to boil the water after a duration of 2.5 hours. There it was. Friction was able to boil water. The experiment proved that heat was not an element, referred to as caloric, but that heat is particle motion. Heat, therefore, is not an element, but energy, which causes particles to vibrate, enabling objects to heat up via the transfer of heat. James Joule proved experimentally that energy can be transformed from one type to another, but it is always conserved. He created a system of paddles that were inserted into water, which were manually operated by weighted pulleys to determine how much the water's temperature changed due to gravitational potential energy. From this, Joule realized that the gravitational potential energy of the masses was transformed to kinetic energy by the paddles, then into heat or thermal energy as the water heated up. The principle of conservation of energy was born. The principle of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but can be transformed from one type to another. Temperature is a measure of how hot a body is. It has SI units of kelvins. Other commonly used units include degrees Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. Temperature in degrees Celsius can be converted to kelvins by simply adding 273. A thermometer is a device used to measure temperature. There are many different types of thermometers. You have liquid in glass, constant pressure gas thermometers, constant volume gas thermometers, thermoelectric thermometers, better known as thermocouples, resistance thermometers, and thermistors. A thermometer's thermometric property determines its use. A thermometric property refers to how the material present within the thermometer varies with temperature. This material may be mercury, alcohol, a gas, or electrical resistance. When a measuring instrument has marks that are equally spaced, they are called graduations or intervals. The instrument is then said to be calibrated. Thermometers are calibrated by using pure water. To determine the law fixed point, 0 degrees Celsius, the bulb of the unmarked thermometer is placed in pure melting ice at standard atmospheric pressure. The upper fixed point, 100 degrees Celsius, of the unmarked thermometer is determined by placing the bulb just above the steam of pure boiling water at standard atmospheric pressure. Liquid and glass thermometers are used in many laboratories, while clinical thermometers are used in clinics and hospitals. Both use mercury as their liquid. Liquid and glass mercury thermometers have a wide temperature range, of between negative 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius or 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. The bulb is thin-walled, which allows for easy transfer of heat, and the bore is very narrow, which allows for quick changes in temperature to occur. Clinical thermometers have shorter temperature scales from 34 degrees Celsius to approximately 43 degrees Celsius. A narrow constriction in the bore to allow them to be read after removal from the body, and owing to this constriction they must be flicked to send the mercury back into the bulb, and scales that have intervals of 0.1 degrees Celsius to improve accuracy. Here are some advantages of mercury. Mercury has a very high boiling point of 357 degrees Celsius. It is a metal that has low specific heat capacity and high conductivity. It is a liquid at room temperature, and it is easy to see because it is bright silver. Some disadvantages of mercury. Mercury is a carcinogen. It's also poisonous and very expensive. Thermocouples have a very wide temperature range of negative 250 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. Hence, they are able to measure very low and very high temperatures. A thermocouple is a pair of different wires joined at their ends or junctions. One junction is referred to as the warm junction, while the other one is the cold junction. The thermometric property of a thermocouple is an electromotive force that is produced which varies with the temperature difference by heating one of the junctions and keeping the other junction cold. Once a voltmeter is connected between the junctions, the reading on the voltmeter can be calibrated to units of temperature. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of thermocouples. Thermocouples respond quickly to temperature changes because metals have very high conductivities, and the temperature readings can be displayed digitally once connected to a computer system. However, the temperature scale used to record the temperature of bodies is non-linear, so it is hard to read and it is not useful for detecting small changes in temperature. Let's try some questions. What is the name of the invisible fluid that people in the 18th century claimed made objects hot? Pause the video to think. The answer is caloric. Here's another question. What is 100 degrees Celsius in kelvins? Pause the video to think. The answer, 373 kelvins. What is 298 kelvins in degrees Celsius? You got it. Pause the video to think. It's 25 degrees Celsius. What is the thermometric property of a liquid in glass thermometer? Pause the video to think. Answer. As temperature increases, the volume of a liquid, which can be mercury or alcohol, also increases. List 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of mercury. You guessed it. Pause the video to think. Here are the advantages of mercury. It's bright silver. It's a liquid at room temperature. It has a high boiling point, high conductivity, and low specific heat capacity. Here are some disadvantages of mercury. It's very expensive and it's cancerous. Alright guys, I'd like to thank you for dropping by for 30 days of physics with Miss B. See you tomorrow for day 14. Keep up with me. Subscribe, like, share. Bye now.